And so we established educational institutions, we established the schools, businesses. I mean, you name it. The Dar Islam movement was a Jamaat in every sense of the word. It was a community, alhamdulillah. And it operated based upon institutions, alhamdulillah, and it was the mercy of Allah, and I'm very thankful to have been a part of that experience, inshallah. Now,
alhamdulillah. Could you tell us about the Dar Islam Muslim Prison Committee?
Yeah, and the Dar Islam Muslim Prison Committee, as we mentioned, there were many areas of work that the movement was involved in, and particularly myself, there were many areas of work that I worked in the movement as a young man. I was just so passionate about everything, whatever. It's just for Allah, for the deen, alhamdulillah, okay? And so one of the functions that I had, as a young man was to work in the prison committee, alhamdulillah. So Imam asked me to do that work, alhamdulillah, and I did that. And then, alhamdulillah, then eventually I became the head of the Muslim Prison Committee. I headed that department, and we organized the dawah in the prisons, and all the prisons in New York State. All right, and as I mentioned earlier, we first, the idea of serving the prison came even before I arrived in '70. Brothers who were incarcerated, they used to write letters to the Imam praising him of the condition of the prison, how they weren't being respected, Islam was not recognized, we need some support from the outside. And the Imam established a committee and started sending brothers in. So when I came on the scene, and I joined the movement, alhamdulillah, that's one of the things I began to do, go in, and we started from scratch, brothers. It was brothers didn't have anything, so we went in and we met with officials. At that time, they called the superintendent wardens. Okay, those were the wardens. All right, and they knew nothing about Islam. All right, but they respected us, and we had to wear a uniform. We didn't go in looking like any old thing. We didn't go in, dressed like the people in the street. We had to have a uniform. We wore them. In fact, we had black throws. And the throws what we wore was tailor-made. We had a special tailor, that made them. You see what I'm saying? It had long and we had to wear the black imamas. Use them with the white imamas and the black argyle. So we looked very official. The imam's attitude was that, or his position was that we should look ecclesiastical. You see, we should look religious and whatnot. We're going in representing Islam, and so we should represent Islam well. So therefore, we should be clean. So we had a whole code of etiquette that we had to do when we inside the prison. So we had, number one, dress. When we go to a facility, no playing, no joking, no slapping pound and all that. No, you're the clergy. You see, and it had a tremendous impression, on the facility officials. When we came in, we would sit. Yes, Mr. So-and-so, and we would begin to teach them Islam and tell them what the brothers needed. They have to have their own messages. Brothers have to wear beards. They have to wear kufis. They had to have their own imam. We established that institution, the imamate amongst the inmates, because there was no one going inside the prisons. You see, they couldn't understand because they used to dealing with a rabbi, a civilian, someone from the outside, or a minister or a priest. Now they got to sit with an inmate, a criminal. Tell them he the imam. They couldn't deal with that, but we demanded it. They had to submit. They respected it. You see what I'm saying? And of course we would give them guidance and give them guidelines, to ensure there wouldn't be no one that would be, a problem. You see, even though over time, brothers got abusive. You know what I'm saying? All right. But we established the imamate amongst the inmates, alhamdulillah. We made sure they had Jummah, we made sure they had classes, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle. They get kufis, beards, it was an ongoing struggle. Eat halal meat, even in New York State now, they're still struggling to get halal. But again, a lot has been accomplished in spite of that. Like one of the brothers just told me recently, alhamdulillah, Imam, do you know that now, do you know in New York State, the brothers can fast in the month of Shawwal, they do the 6 days of Shawwal. You probably can't do that nowhere in the country. All right, that's part of the work of Sheikh Ismail Abdul-latif. He made sure before he left, alhamdulillah, that he would, alhamdulillah, those things would be in place. Because here's how we worked. Here's without philosophy of the prison. Our thinking was, want for your brother what you want for yourself. You see? So if I was in prison, want to be in place for me. So that's how we work. We got to get them everything we could. See what I'm saying? Okay, we left no stone unturned, okay, to make sure that the brothers not only had their rights, but all the extra that we could get, alhamdulillah, you know. And the people respected that. And then as time went on, alhamdulillah, you know, there was a need for chaplains. You know, we wanted to, you know, so we moved with the time, all right, and eventually they hired 2 chaplains from the Nation of Islam, you know, to work officially for the prison system, and they hired 2 from the Sunni, you know, myself and Sheikh Ismail Rahim, all right. And of course the rest is history, because now Islam is well established inside the prisons, and they have over 50 chaplains in New York State, and they got many chaplains in the city, and chaplains all over the country, you see. Some of the work of the prison committee, as I mentioned before, not only did we serve the inmates, you know, locally and state, but we served the federal prisons as well. You know, Terre Haute, Indiana, and Lewisburg. We used to visit all the prisons back then. All right, feasibility, you know, all under the umbrella of Dar Islam Muslim Prison Committee. Alhamdulillah, and like I said, and the work goes on. You know, alhamdulillah. I mean, now, even some of our sons now, you know, like Sheikh Ismail, one of the pioneers of the Darwin prison, myself, one of the pioneers of the Darwin prison, man. Our sons are imams in those prisons. You know, it's amazing. You know, so some of the legacy is still there. They're doing good work, alhamdulillah, and inshallah, and there'll be more to come, alhamdulillah. But Islam is well established in New York State, alhamdulillah, as a result of some of the work of the Dar Islam Muslim Prison Committee. Not to take from the work of the brothers who evolved from the Nation of Islam, but we're talking about our contribution, inshallah, to the point. We stayed on the Sunnah. We stayed on the Sunnah. We pushed the Sunnah. You know, that was what we were about. And I want to say that, you know, for the record, and underscore that point, you know what I'm saying, because so people have misunderstanding of the Dar Islam movement, or even some people came later on with the Sunnah, you see what I'm saying? And, you know, like the brothers in the prison had the Sunnah, and we didn't teach this. That's all we taught. We were the first ones that established Thalatha al-Usul, you know, Thalatha al-Usul, or Usul al-Thalatha, by Sheikh Abdul-latif. That treatise, we taught that in prison. Talking about the Sunnah. You see what I'm saying? Ibn Taymiyyah, you know, subhanAllah, in the books of Ibn Taymiyyah, because Imam was translating that stuff, feeding it to us, man, taking it to prison. So you're talking about the Sunnah, we were adamant about the Sunnah. You see, but we were organized under Dar Islam. So people had it wrong. You see what I'm saying? As if we were some deviant group with a new, no, it wasn't like that, man, you see? All right? So alhamdulillah, this is from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we were on that, and we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, and the work continues, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Can you tell us how you became, you know, an imam and a leader?
That's too long, inshallah. You know, there was a need for an imam. You know, Masjid Al-Mu'mineen in Brooklyn, that's how I first became imam in 1984. You know, because after the Dar, you know, broke up, all right, a segment of the community, you know, went one way, and another segment, you know, went another. We established it, so, you know, Yasin Mosque was no more, and we established Masjid Al-Mu'mineen, all right, myself and some brothers, and we, alhamdulillah, we continue to work in the legacy of Dar, inshallah, okay. So the first imam of Masjid Al-Mu'mineen was Sheikh Sulaiman Al-Hadi, from the last poets, the original last poets. He was the first imam, and I was his naib. All right, and then after about 2 years, I think from 82 to 84, he was the imam, and then from 84 on, I became the imam of Masjid Al-Mu'mineen. There was a need, you know, people need an imam. We need to continue to work, you know. We need to school. You know, we come from a orientation of community empowerment, so we want to continue to do that. You see, and so alhamdulillah, the people selected me to be imam, alhamdulillah, and we continue to do the work, prisons and everything, alhamdulillah. Okay, continue on.
What do you think about the Ummah, or in the state of the Muslims today?